The Cal Golden Bears are trying to erase the memory of a very difficult 2013 season. They hit the practice field for spring practice coming up on March 31st and then can finally start to pop some pads and look forward to the fall of 2014. Our best source, no doubt, for Cal football talk is, of course, head coach Sonny Dykes. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, before we talk specifically about this team and spring practice coming up in a few weeks, what is your approach to spring football? I'm sure different coaches have different mindsets, different approaches. What are you trying to get out of spring football? What's kind of the mindset in regards to what you would like to see your team accomplish during these spring sessions?
Well, this is anytime you have a disappointing season like we had last year, the spring becomes much more important. And this is a very important spring for our program. We've got a lot of young players that got their feet wet playing last year that need to take the next step now and start to develop into being good, productive college football players. We've got a lot of guys coming off of injuries, some pretty important players that really have never played for us, so we're anxious to see what those guys can do. And then the big thing we have to do is just get that bad taste out of our mouth. Anytime you have a rough year like we had last year, it's important that you get on the practice field, start to develop that confidence that you have to have in order to get things turned around. So it's a big spring for us in a lot of different levels.
So you hit a key word right there, Coach, confidence. So coming off the season that you had last year, a lot of these kids have not experienced success at this level. You almost have to play in addition to coach, psychologist. How do you instill that confidence? What kind of methods do you go about in trying to prepare a team that's going to face a very difficult Pac-12?
You know, the funny thing about confidence, it comes as a result of believing in yourself and knowing you're doing things the right way. And I think that's where we've made big strides in our program, is that our guys have bought into it at a higher level. I think they understand more now than ever what it takes to be a championship program, particularly at this level, and they understand they have to develop and become good football players. And so there's a lot of good things going on in our program right now. There really are. We're getting much stronger in the weight room. We're starting to develop depth really on both lines, which I think is going to be really important for us. And anytime that you can build your offensive line, your defensive line, that's where you win football games. It doesn't matter what level of football or what style of football you're trying to play. And we've got a lot of good young bodies that are starting to get bigger and stronger. And so what that does allows them to become confident. And our guys are working hard. And so, you know, we need to have a good spring. We need to be productive. We need to get all the details worked out and fine-tune everything. But we certainly feel like we're headed in a good direction.
As a freshman, his numbers were very impressive, but then you take into account that he was a freshman and take into account that the team was struggling around him, take into consideration that he was throwing the football in the face of a pass rush that knew he had to throw the football with deficit scores. Your thoughts about his performance as a freshman, and more importantly, what steps you would like to see him take during the spring?
Yeah, I think importantly, you know, I think he proved that we made the right decision in terms of choosing him as our starting quarterback. He showed the potential that we hoped he'd show. I think he showed flashes of brilliance, really, and flashes of becoming a quarterback that's not only a great one in the Pac-12, but a great one on the national stage. You know, he showed us that he's certainly capable of getting the job done. You know, I think the biggest thing he's got to improve on, and we have to improve on as a program, is making better decisions. We got to get him. We got to stay on schedule. We can't get in as many third and longs. You know, we had a very young offensive line last year, didn't run the football particularly well, and because of that, there was a lot of pressure on him to make plays and really move our football team. And if we can do a better job of staying on schedule, running the ball better, being more physical, finishing runs, doing all those type of things, then it'll allow us to take some pressure off of Jared and allow him to get better and better and better. And, you know, I think the only complaint any of us would have of him last year was he tried to do too much. And I think that was just you know, symbolic more of our football team more than it was him as an individual.
All right, 4 new coaches on the staff. Let's zero in on the addition of Art Kauffman from Cincinnati. He comes in as defensive coordinator. What did you see after a successful run that he had with the Bearcats in winning 9 games last season in regards to his approach, his technique, his mindset that really impressed you in bringing him in?
Well, the thing about Art is really it's a body of work. You go back and you look. You know, he was incredibly successful as a defensive coordinator in the SEC at Ole Miss. He's been around in the ACC at North Carolina. Had a lot of success in the Big 12 at Texas Tech, and then going on and doing the same thing at Cincinnati last year. So he's someone who's been around, has a tremendous reputation in the business. He's someone who's seen everything. I think that was important for us. Was to hire somebody that had experience, you know, could prepare for all the different kind of offenses that we're going to see in the Pac-12. This is a very unique offense because a lot of teams play in extremes here. In other words, you play a Stanford team one week, it's going to, you know, be in 22 personnel and try to run the football, and then you're going to play an Oregon team next week who's going to spread the field and run it, and then a Washington State team who's going to spread it and throw it. So you see all these different extremes, and you have to have a defense that can adjust and you know, give you a chance to win every week against all those different looks. And I think Art's expertise and experience certainly will help us get there.
All right, Coach. Looking at the 4 coaches in total, is it more during spring practice of you just getting used to their coaching styles? Is that part of the process as well, that you have to get a feel for what they do?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got some guys coaching some different positions. You know, Garrett Sachere moves from defensive ends to linebackers. That's a position he's coached the vast majority of his career, and so I think that's going to be a natural move for him and a move that's going to help our over. You know, to be our secondary coach. He's been around, been a lot of different places. Has been in the Pac-12 at SC and Arizona State. He's been real successful. You know, and so I feel real good about our coaching staff. I really do, and I think the guys coming in are going to, you know, are going to help solidify that. And then Fred Tate's been with Art really the last 2 stops Art's made, both at Cincinnati and Texas Tech. So they're on the same page. So the most important thing that happens in the spring is everybody gets on the same page. And the good thing is the staff has been working really diligently to get on the same page and communicating that to our players. And so we expect to have a really good spring.
Cal football coach Sonny Dykes, spring practice underway on March 31st. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for having me.